Going on, product people? Can you hear me?
Yes. How you doing,
Yeah.
Alex?
I'm doing very well. Can you also see me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we
All right.
can.
Very exciting. This is very exciting. We're only 2 minutes behind. This is awesome.
And we're gonna give a few minutes for people to join us, and then we'll get started in about a couple of minutes.
Sounds good.
Alex,
Actually,
how
if
many?
I have a minute.
Oh my God,
How
we
many-
already have 57 people. That was quick.
Good. I love this. Henrik, I love this decor behind you. This is fancy.
This is a Zoom background, if you
This
can
is
tell.
nice. All right. Yeah, I wish I had that Zoom background. Yeah, this is also totally virtual. You see these guitars? Not at all.
How many guitars do you have?
Right behind me or just in general?
Just in general.
No, just in general, not that many, maybe seven.
Oh wow.
That's it. Yes, no more.
No
Behind
such thing as too much.
Yes. These are all acoustic. But unfortunately, I don't have that much time to play it these days. I'm running on like one piece of bread that I had today, like
Oh,
5
wow.
minutes ago. So I was running late. So kind of running on fumes here a little bit, but I'm hoping. And also, I did have time to review some questions, so I think I should be able to answer some questions. And I just need your help in making sure that like I don't have to look at any information digitally. Just you're asking me the questions, I'll answer them. I'm happy to take questions from the audience. I think we have what do we say, about an hour? We're gonna be
Yes,
doing this.
about an hour.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. And then also I wanted to ask, in terms of links and stuff, you guys have the capability, I think, to just drop links in the chat. So maybe we can do that, because really what I'm looking for is just to obviously answer any questions about any product managers have, aspiring, current product managers, whatever. And then I have my YouTube channel, which I'd love for everybody to join me on, the newsletter, which you know about. And then there's this one new thing that I want to announce, which is, maybe we'll get a chance to talk about it, but basically I'll drop you guys a link, and then we can have the folks on the call get a little bit early access to that.
Yes, for sure. We'll take care of all of those things, so you don't have to worry about anything. We are, at 4 minutes after 1:30. We'll wait one more minute for people to join, but for people who are already with us, there are 90 of you. Super exciting. If you can go to the Zoom group chat, you can see that I shared a link to Slido, where you could enter the code #buds, and that's really where you'll be able to throw in your questions for Alex, and also vote questions that you resonate with, so that it goes to the top and it makes it to the questions that Alex will be answering today.
Ooh, can I see that as well? Is that, can I like click on something and see it?
Yes.
And also, can I see the people that are on the call? Like, can we do this gigantic video chat where we see everybody? Is that possible?
It should be, if people start sharing their
Is that gonna like crash the mainframe and like we won't be able to see any? Let's test the Zoom service, people. I definitely want to see everybody, like, as much as possible.
Yes, 98 people. Share your cameras. Don't be shy. We're all here as one community.
Don't be shy. Yes.
Hey, how's it going?
What is going on? What's up, Rahul?
I just had some lunch too. I just had a sandwich.
Nice. I wish I had a full sandwich. I only had a piece of bread, honestly.
One bread.
Some butter on it.
I see. What was the name of your YouTube channel again?
It's just my name, Alex Rechevskiy, but it's pretty hard to spell, so I'm sure we can drop a link to it.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
David,
I'm pulling up a link right now.
Yeah.
Thank you, David.
Okay, cool. So I think we're good to go. We have 104 people on the call. Super exciting.
Sweet.
But yeah, welcome everyone. We are so excited to have you all joining us for our first Ask a Product Bud event today. My name is Henrika, and I'm one of the co-founders of the Product Bud community. And to start off, I want to let my amazing team make their introductions as well. So if you can start with that, Joseph.
Hey everyone, my name is Joseph. I joined the Product Buzz community and started the team with my friends here. I'm a current PM intern at a small startup all the way in India, working remotely. And I'm also a senior currently at Emory University, studying marketing and information systems. I'll pass it on to David.
Hey there, how are y'all doing? My name is David. I'm also a co-founder here at Product Buds, and I am a program manager at General Atomics, and I'm a rising senior at Georgia Tech studying industrial engineering. Nice to meet y'all. Passing off to Henrika.
So, hey everyone, I'm Henrika, a recent business graduate from the University of Victoria, so all the way in Canada. And I was previously an associate product manager at Workday, which was really my formal introduction to the world of product management. And now I am an incoming. Okay, cool. And now I'm an incoming product manager at Poly, and I'm really excited to give back to the community through Product Buds. I'll pass it over to Millup to give his introduction.
Hello, everyone. I'm a rising junior at UC Davis, and I am also a PM intern at a small startup as well. Looking forward to everyone joining the product community, and it's gonna be a cool journey. So I'll pass it off to Grace. She's able to talk.
Hi, everyone. Last but not least, my name is Grace. I am currently a rising senior at Northeastern University, majoring in business marketing, minoring in computer science, and currently a product manager intern at Salesforce this summer, working remotely. And myself and the rest of my amazing team, we launched Product Buds just a little over 2 weeks ago, and we're already at over 700 members globally. We are so excited to have each and every one of you here today, and our team has just absolutely loved the amazing support, the engagement in this community. So we're really looking forward to keeping in touch with all of you, and we hope you love this incredible event. And thank you very much, Alex, for speaking to our community today. I'll pass it on to Henrika for more about Product Buds.
Thank you, Grace, for joining us. Okay, so Product Buds, really, we aim to be a diverse, inclusive, and welcoming environment for all aspiring product managers of all social and cultural identities, as well as educational and career backgrounds. And we hope, through Product Buds, we aim to help aspiring PMs sharpen their PM skill set through engaging discussions on PM-related books, as well as collaborative projects where participants can learn design thinking and be immersed in the product development process. And we have a community of full of passionate aspiring PMs who are dedicated to grow with you through this journey. And just like what Grace said, we already have over 700 members from all over the world. I think we have presence in over 6 countries, so super exciting. And our team hopes that Product Buds will provide a space for you to build lasting connections with each one of us here in the community who have the same career goals and really take the proactive steps needed to become the next generation of product leaders. So now I'll pass it on to Joseph to share some housekeeping reminders as well as the agenda for today.
Perfect. Thanks, Henrika. All right, so before we get started, just a few reminders to mute all your mics, because I know that if one person has some sound, it can be heard across everyone else in the video call. And we also want to really encourage you guys to take notes during the event. So we're going to be asking questions. We're going to be learning a lot of things about product management. And with the notes that you've taken, we want to encourage you to post it on LinkedIn and just tag all of us. Tag Alex, the Product Buzz page. Give his YouTube account a shout out, right? And it's just a way for a lot more people who couldn't make the event to learn something about what we learned here, and also get the word spreading about Product Buzz as well. And so we would really appreciate if you just post on LinkedIn, tag the team, tag the group. That'd be great. So we're gonna get started with the pre-submitted questions that we had in the polls before. But meanwhile, we can also, yeah, so we have the link for the Slido in the group chat. So if you haven't checked that out, go put in the code hashtag buds, and you'll be able to submit your own questions and vote on your favorite questions to be answered by Alex later on. And so after we do the pre-submitted, we'll do those questions from the Slido, and then we'll wrap up at the end. And then a quick reminder for the questions that you will ask Alex, to just keep them within product management. No, like, yeah, we want to kind of not ask questions about Google and what his specific questions about his role at Google. So it's just product management. And we'll give, so as you guys are setting up with Slido, I'm gonna give Alex, I'm gonna give you a chance to introduce yourself, and then we'll get started.
What is up, product people? What is happening today? Very, very nice to be speaking to so many of you today. Very excited about the Product Buds community. How do you put that together in a couple of weeks? That is just awesome. So thank you very much for inviting me out here. A pleasure to be chatting with all you fine folks. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Obviously, I am currently a PM at Google, so anything that has to do with Google specific, obviously, I cannot divulge any information, but anything else goes. I've had a lot of experience working in startups, consulting, and other stuff, so yeah, feel free to ask anything. I didn't quite move it to the link yet to that Slido page, but hopefully the organizers are going to let me know what's going on and what questions I have to answer at any given time, and we'll try to keep things moving. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. That was a great introduction. We will first go through the pre-submitted questions via Google, and then we can share our screen if you want, so you can see all the questions as they come up. Yeah. So we want to reward those people who did their homework and actually took the time to fill out their Google form. So we'll give them, first lot. So first of all, our first question is from Jules Para. I hope I said that correctly. As a current college student, what experiences through on-campus organizations or opportunities should I seek to develop valuable skills when applying to PM internships?
Sure, it's a good question. Okay, so as a college student, what can you do in order to develop yourself as a future product manager? So there's a couple things. First of all, I'm gonna start by saying, as a college student, make sure you want to do product management. Like, product management is a very specific field. It's got a lot of collaboration, coordination with lots of different people. There's a lot of talking, there's a lot of meetings, a lot of things very much like this going on. It can be extremely difficult and frustrating, all these things. And there's just a lot of specific things to product management. So make sure that's what you're interested in. If so, and if you like to build stuff, you like to collaborate with other folks, then if you determine product management is for you, then the next step is to basically determine where you want to go as a product manager. Presumably, you want to jump into some sort of either a big tech company or a startup. There's cons and pros to each of those. The things that you can do while you're in college is get involved in building stuff, like as much hands-on as possible. I'm not going to tell you to read books and watch videos, because I assume you're already doing that. So that's awesome. So you got to kind of stay educated and get as much information as possible. But I encourage you to get your hands dirty as soon as possible. So actually just build stuff, either building something for yourself, something that with other co-founders, with other small startups, try internships at medium-sized companies and big companies. And then when you're out of college, you already have amassed some work, some stuff that you've built yourself, maybe something that only you're using, or maybe a small group of users were using, or maybe an actual startup where you managed to do some work and solve problems for people. Ultimately, like, if you are solving anyone's problems at all, including yourself, then you're building product. Whether that's actually offline business or online business doesn't really matter as much. You just got to get the type of experience that you're going to need as an actual product manager. Because when you're applying out of college, the question is going to be that the recruiters or the hiring managers are going to have are, okay, what have you done that's already product management? And you want to get as close as possible to having that experience already. So reach out to other folks. I think this community is great. Reach out to other folks that are building something and see how you can help them. Obviously, internships. and then ultimately designing and building things yourself, again, whether offline or online. And you want to do all of that simultaneously if possible, while learning, while continuing your education, so that by the time you get out of college, you've already got a little bit of experience in all these things.
Great. Thank you so much for that answer. Okay, we have a follow-up question with Rami for these college students for aspiring PMs, right, where remote work is especially like more prominent nowadays. How would you showcase your PM skills with the lack of career fairs in the fall semester?
Yeah, kind of the same. I mean, kind of what we just said. I think the fact that you're all here, and by the way, also feel free to, everybody can chat in here, right?
Yeah.
All the folks in here. We only have 120 people in here, so I think you feel free to chat and kind of like ask questions in there as well, unless we are using our Slido for like voting on questions there. Just want to make sure that like people, I want to definitely hear from everybody. So I don't want you to feel like this is like a recorded video. The whole point is you can ask stuff and I'll answer them. So yeah, but to answer that, like career fairs are great, but ultimately what you want is to interact with lots of different people from lots of different places and backgrounds that are working on lots of different projects. And so this, like a community like this, is great. And now that everybody's kind of hanging out at home a little bit more, it's actually even better opportunity to reach out online on LinkedIn or some other social networking and just say, hey, what are you working on? Or, hey, I think this thing is cool that you're working on. Or does anybody want to work with this? Because right now there's no cost to starting a business at all. Like you can basically start a site for free. You can usually build apps for free also, but a lot of times you don't need to build a huge product before you find out if it's actually valuable to someone. So you can like, in fact, this is why I like the Product Buds community. Like that basically is like a couple of weeks. MVP is like, hey, does anybody else want to know about product management? Let's learn as a group. And now here we all are. So this is actually the perfect example. And I would just encourage, continue to grow your professional network. You will be amazed at what kind of opportunities happen as you start talking to different people that are also interested in building, interested in kind of making the world a better place.
Gotcha.
I really love that comment. Like, if people in the call don't already know, but all of us here, Product Buds organizers, we met through LinkedIn just like about 3 weeks ago, and yeah, it was pretty crazy to think that we've able to launch this in such a short amount of time without having worked with each other before and not really knowing each other before this. So yeah, I really like that advice.
There you go.
Thank you for that. So going on to our third questions for the pre-submitted question from Sarah Ahmed. She asks, how much does empathy and compassion play into product management?
I think it's huge. I think it's very, very important. I actually just did a video that I released like 5 minutes before we started our call, because I was just finishing up the final like description on it. And empathy is definitely on there. Empathy is a big one, and empathy is specifically different from sympathy in that you actually try to understand what it's like to feel those things that other people are feeling. I think it's just general great life advice. Just be more empathic if you can. Try to put yourself in the shoes of others. I think it makes us better people, and it definitely makes us able to develop better products. Because ultimately, you've got to understand the pain points. You got to understand what the actual problem is. Sometimes like the underlying motivation behind a problem, in order to build a meaningful solution. And so empathy is going to unlock that for you. Like empathy is going to, if you actually sit down and think, okay, what does it feel like to be this person in this place, going through these feelings or these situations? What does that mean? So that is very big, and a lot of times we tend to forget it, like especially if we start like solving things from solution. If we build a solution before we build a problem, which happens a lot all over the place. We're like, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? Yeah, it would. Who would want that? Let's see. What problem would it solve? It's like reverse thinking. And if instead you kind of observe the world observe yourself interacting with others and going through your life, and open yourself up to these experiences. I think you're going to be able to find very interesting solutions, and you'll be able to identify markets which other people may not even think are markets.
That's a great point. I never thought of it from that empathy perspective.
Super important, yeah, because a lot of times we go technical, right? We like, okay, how do we solve this thing? But empathy sometimes will have us asking, like, why? Why is this happening? Why is it really happening? And it allows us to get a little bit deeper.
Gotcha. For people who are more on that technical background, we have a question from Hassan coming from a CS background, and he's wondering how he can break into the product management field, what he can study, what he should read, how can he gain experience coming from that technical background.
Technical background is awesome. Like a lot of times people are asking me, I don't have a technical background. How can I get in? I mean, it is probably, all things being equal, it is easier to get into product management, especially nowadays with a technical background, because you understand technical concepts. You potentially worked with engineers, collaborated with different types of people on these type of problems, and you can kind of speak the language a little bit better. So that's definitely an asset, right? If you do have a technical background, leverage it. Explain, use that to tell the story that you have already worked on these engineering issues. You've collaborated with the type of groups and people that solve these problems, and so you know how to work on these issues. So you definitely leverage that. If you don't have a technical background, that's also fine. There's so many other areas. Like in my top 10 skills of a product manager, technical really only comes into play when you're thinking about like statistics and analytics. Besides than that, they're all, so to speak, like soft skills, or skills that you can sort of learn, that are not necessarily rooted in engineering. So I think you can approach it either way. It's really a positive in both sides. If you don't have a technical background, that's not going to stop you. If you do have a technical background, you can leverage that as an asset. And by the way, the key to that is, because probably if you ask that question, you're thinking, yeah, thanks, Alex, but like, how do I use it? And here's how you use it. You identify the things that you've done that had impact and how they had the impact, and you make sure you weave that into the narrative. Like I work with people on figuring out, how to tell their story and how to make sure that their resume properly reflects their candidacy. And a lot of times that's what we do. We tease out, like, what's the impact? Like, how did you drive results for the user? And the user could be internal or external. How did you build stuff? How did you execute? What did you improve? And we use that to weave that into your product management story.
Thank you so much, Alex. I really appreciate it.
Sure. All right. Yeah. Thanks very much, Hassan. Good seeing you.
Thank you for that. And our next question here.
Henrik, are you muted? Or is it delayed? Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Classic Zoom.
You kind of touched on our next question already, but feel free to give like a one sentence commentary on it. But from Betty, she is asking, do you believe it is necessary to have a technical background to succeed as a product manager?
Nope. Yeah, you don't need it. I got a video on that, like how to get in without a technical background. I think what I've learned from speaking to a lot of different people in different stages of their careers, whether current product managers or aspiring product managers, is that a lot of the times, if you are in this chat right now, I can pretty much bet on you 90% already. If you are in here, that means you put the effort in. If you put in the extra effort, then you have sort of self-selected yourself to be the type of person that is going to get things done. And so if I were to bet on all of you within the next 5-10 years, I would do that right now, no problem. So it's just like that, just that step alone. So don't worry about the technical if you don't have the technical background. Identify the gaps that you think really are missing in, well, step 0 is always make sure you want to do product management. Step 1 is identify the gaps that you have, and then just fill those gaps in as you build stuff. Don't fill them in anticipation of the day when you're going to be allowed or someone's going to come in and say, you can now do product management. No, do it concurrently. Do it at the same time, because it's okay, because we all learn from mistakes, and You know, kind of approach it like the way that children approach, right? They just like put blocks together and do it. It's totally fine. In fact, half of the products that are designed right now are by people that don't have any idea what they're doing anyway.
Thanks for the encouraging words. I think that was very
Sure.
inspiring for all of us here in the chat. We're gonna transition. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, just seeing some questions here in chat. Let me just as you guys get the other questions ready. Let me just I don't know. Do we answer Armand's question about experience in consulting?
Yes,
let me just touch upon that real quick.
I think that's
yeah. That was the piece. Okay, good. And then so mock-up interview partners. Okay, we're good. Software developer. PMP, would PMP be helpful to jump career to product manager? The question is, I'm a software developer with 5 years experience. That's terrific. You've already got so much experience building product. This is awesome. Definitely leverage that. We're doing PMP. So PMP, I assume you mean, is this project some sort of project manager certification? Is that what the PMP is referring to? If that is the case,
project manager certification, exactly.
Project manager, yeah. So if that's the case, I think that's good. I think project management is a huge part of product management, but I tend to go more towards, like, certifications are great, but I think more in terms of like doing the thing. So it's like picking up the skills and doing the thing. There's just two pieces. As long as you're doing both, yeah, then I think they're beneficial. There's a lot of programs out there. Specifically about the PMP certification, you know, that's a project management piece. So I don't know what it won't really, I don't think, give you a specific edge in terms of product management is concerned, because that's more for actually driving project towards successful conclusion. Whether or not those projects will end up being useful to people, that's kind of the big distinction between product managers and project managers, is that project manager can get things done. I just saw this post that I really loved on LinkedIn a couple of days ago. Project manager can get everything done on time, on budget. It can be used by no one. Project manager still did a great job. But if the product manager does the same thing, then they failed completely, because no one's using it, no one needs it, they didn't understand the needs. So that's kind of the difference in project manager, product manager. Thanks for sharing the screen. We can definitely go to the top questions. That's a nice system.
Yeah, so now that we've gone through the pre-submitted questions, we'll check out everything that was submitted just right now.
Excellent.
So the first one with 26 votes is, what is the difference between a product analyst and a product manager?
Yeah, so, well, unfortunately, both of those things, as is everything else in product management, pretty ambiguous. Like a product manager, I think people are starting to get a pretty good sense of what that is nowadays, and I think that's great. But if by product analyst you mean a business analyst, or and it could be this umbrella term that is basically like either a business or product analyst. So essentially, it's someone who is really more concerned about the operation of a particular product or business in terms of the processes that it takes to actually do that either product or business end to end. So getting deeper into the actual processes. Okay, how does the onboarding happen? How does the actual operation work? How does a product delivered? What happens with it long term? So it's like getting into the details. And I think ultimately product managers should be getting into the details, but product managers also own the why is all this being done at all? Like, what are the actual user needs that basically are making us produce this product to begin with? So it's sort of the layer above. And usually when we think of business analysts, a product manager a lot of times will work with a business analyst to really get into the details of a particular process or like a very important operational piece within a product. And a business analyst could dig in deeper to understand exactly what needs to happen there. What are the inputs? What are the outputs? How can it be improved? All of these things. Whereas a product manager really owns, is it going to be useful for anybody? Should our company be doing it? And how should we approach it, right? So it's a little bit more high-level strategic view as opposed to more tactical for the business analyst.
moving on to our next question of 24 likes. What are some examples of side projects that an aspiring product manager should pursue?
Yeah, so we touched upon this, but I think that there's a couple of approaches to this. So the first approach is look within, like do an inventory of what you're about, what you've enjoyed in your life. What are some things that you just like to do for fun? Then do an inventory of what are some problems that you have. Like what are some pain points in your everyday user journeys? One of the things that, again, I talked about in the video that I just released is that as a product manager, to think like a product manager, you're basically going through life, you're just constantly analyzing all experiences and trying to optimize them and improve them. So you can do that for everything, like from the moment that you wake up to the moment that you go to sleep. You can do that for everything. If it drives you crazy, you can take a little break. But I think it's important to do that because anything can become a side project in the physical or in digital. Anything that you think, any inconvenience, it could be a convenience, any a little bit deeper, some sort of motivation that you have within you that you want to explore. This could be a great source. This is something you can start yourself. You can also look, now that was looking within, right? You can also look externally, which is, I think, what communities like this are all about. You ask each other, hey, what are you interested in? What are some things that are top of mind for you? What are some problems? You discuss, current events, discuss your experiences. And the third piece is externally, you also find the people that are already building stuff on Product Hunt. And actually, I have, John Marty, Tim Salau, and I are going to be actually putting together 2 weeks from now a project that is exactly for this, for kind of addressing this issue, which is that a lot of folks out there are, number one, looking for something to get involved in, and others have ideas and concepts that they don't exactly know how to develop. So what we're going to do is we're going to get everybody that has any concept or idea on what they want to work on, and then we're going to do a show where we basically are talking about these concepts that have been submitted, and the audience is getting involved, and we're bringing our expertise to talk about, okay, what should we do? Should we launch this? Should we not? What are going to be some problems? How do we get started? How do we do an MVP? What are the next steps from here? And the audience is at the same time basically providing the demand potentially for these products. So we'll provide a link if you've got ideas and concepts that you want to develop. We'll provide a link. I gave David the link, so he'll maybe drop it in chat or do whatever magic to get it to you, good folks. But we haven't announced it yet. It's going to be announced on Monday. But today, if you've got ideas, fill out the form and just get in there early. We're only going to choose probably like 5 or 6 for our first run through. But the idea is that if you attend these type of meetings, you can then reach out to those folks and say, hey, I'm interested. Can I help you out on this? Right? What are you guys thinking about this? Or the thing is, if it speaks to you, if it's something that's either interesting to you as a product manager or as a potential consumer, then you can reach out to those and potentially collaborate. So it's a good opportunity now to actually get involved in all this stuff, because that stuff counts. And those side projects, they really, really count, because it shows that you're holistically interested in the career because you are a builder. Think about it.
Like that.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Alex. So for the next question, you kind of touched on how you don't have to be a technical person. You don't need to have a technical degree to be a product manager. But are there any technical skills that a product manager should have on their resume?
Yeah. Let me take that one. So first, for high level, there are some aspects of product management depending on what you're building. Like if you're building, if you're building rockets for Elon, then you're going to definitely need to get some technical skills. You won't be able to be successful as a product manager unless you understand those areas of focus, rocketry, or like electrical engineering, semiconductors. Or like even hardware. Like when you get into hardware, you should know how hardware works. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying that is going to require technical understanding of what you're working on. But then beyond those sort of product specific areas that you should definitely be aware of if you're interested in those spheres, you've got to understand, you just got to understand how to work with math. You've got to understand statistics, and basically for analytics and experimentation, because a lot of that's basically the way that we launch and iterate and check whether we did what we wanted to do and whether we did the thing that the user needed. An understanding of statistics and analytics is going to be necessary to be a successful product manager. Beyond that, obviously SQL, if you want to invest into SQL programming, it's great to learn. It's not necessary. It's sort of more like the way of thinking of an engineer. And if you're going to be involved in building technical products, as most of us probably will be in the next decade or two, you want to understand how that world functions. Like, if possible, read a book or take a course or investigate in how software development works, so you understand the basics. And also you understand general technical concepts, how the internet works, like client server, and just basic tech concepts. It's important to have an understanding of them. But beyond that, there's also maybe how systems thinking and being able to design a process, for instance, in a meaningful way that you can explain the way something works relatively straightforward, in a straightforward manner. And then beyond that, there's going to be, of course, documentation, technical writing. You can brush up on those. And then how to make presentation decks, which is super important because you've got to get everybody's buy-in on whatever it is you're trying to align on. So making good decks, I can just teach you actually how to make good decks right now very quickly. Just make them very, very short and like black on white. Don't do fancy graphics. And that's like 50% of what you need to know. The rest 50 is more difficult to get.
Thank you for that, Alex. I love this next question because I feel like a lot of the people here, in the call, they want to be product managers and aspiring PMs, and there are a lot of us are just focusing on like the benefits. What can I get out of product management? What's good for me? But what are some of your favorite and least favorite parts of product management?
Sure. Yeah. All right, let me think about that one. Speed of development is different at different size organization. Mm-hmm. So the smaller the company by nature of it, the faster the iterative process goes. Also, so this is kind of like, this is where it helps to know yourself, like what you like more. Because if you like to go quickly, then maybe more startups or small companies would be more beneficial. In terms of, well, I'm really struggling to find a least favorite, but certainly there are least favorite parts. So, yeah. For instance, repeating the same thing 40 times sometimes gets a little old. Uh-huh. That one definitely happens in product management, especially the bigger the company. You have to repeat things ad nauseum, basically, and sometimes that can. But honestly, I don't know that that's necessarily. I guess it could be considered a negative part. In terms of my personal favorite part is when you are actually able to move big organizations in a particular direction. Like when you're getting buy-in from multiple types of stakeholders and groups and everybody, and you've gotten everybody looking in the same direction. It's extremely difficult and extremely rewarding, I think. And also, I think just seeing the things that you build take form. I think those are the best parts. And in terms of least favorite, yeah, it's all pretty great. I have to get back to you on that one.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. So role of data analytics in product management, you kind of touched on that earlier, but if you want to give,
Yeah, huge. I mean, in short, it's huge, right? Like we make data-driven decisions basically, and we want to strive for that. Now, the flip side of that is sometimes you don't have the data, so you're going to have to weigh whether it makes sense to get data, whether you're going to need to make a decision without the data, and that's also very important. But if we're talking about foundational data, understanding how to work with data and making data-driven decisions as opposed to necessarily always intuition-driven decisions is going to be huge in product management of today. Sometimes, in fact, maybe too much so, because I think intuition, experience-backed intuition, has been kind of undervalued by our obsession with data in the last 10, 20 years.
Thank you for that.
We have a
Major
next
tips
question.
for non-technical product manager, we already kind of covered, right? Like find the gaps, and then make a plan to fill in those gaps in a parallel way. So don't do one thing at a time. Do all of the things that you need to do simultaneously. That's a great tip right there. I know it's easier said than done, but you got to do it.
Perfect. Could you kind of go into your background of what made you become product manager?
Sure.
And share your background and story.
Sure. Yeah. So I was one of a group of people that basically we didn't know that we were doing product management. And that's what I'm talking about. Like if you just want to build stuff and you're interested in business, you're interested in helping people just solve problems, you're going to basically end up being a product manager. And so early on, I was just interested in business, finance, tech, and actually gaming, like entertainment. I did games for a lot of years, and I did not know that I was a product manager there. I ended up building mobile games and studios that basically produced games. And at a certain point, I realized that is what product management is. You basically have this end-to-end direction and development of a product. But before that, I also had several businesses that I was involved in, like consulting, and just always interested to see how I could help. What are some interesting spheres to get into, for instance? Like what are going to be some industries that you can get into that are beneficial? And in terms of like my journey, it was basically business, startup, consulting, gaming, entertainment, product management, and big tech product management. And it was like this fluid thing. Halfway through it, I realized that actually that is all these things that I've been doing. That is what a product manager does. And see, this is why now there's a little bit more information. But before, it was actually this weird opaque thing. Like it's very unclear what a product manager was or is. And so now there's definitely a little bit more clarity around it, and we could come out and tell people, okay, here's what a product manager is. Is that interesting to you? Do you think you can see yourself in these characteristics? Then you should probably go into that, which is awesome.
Wow, very interesting story. It's more like you accidentally found product management, or maybe it found you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And I hear that a lot, by the way. That happens for sure.
Mm-hmm. So for our next question, can you describe how customer success relates to product management? Is there a way to reword this title to effectively communicate my interest in product management?
Well, we're going to have to disambiguate that question. Like if whoever asked the question, maybe you can clarify what you mean by customer success. Like I'm thinking of one thing, you meant another.
Okay, so meanwhile, we'll just move on to the next question.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Oh, my screen froze for a second. Henrika, can you? Okay, there we go. What does a typical PM career trajectory look like? For yours, it wasn't this one path. And maybe,
there's ups or downs for sure. I think ultimately a lot of modern CEOs and probably future CEOs are going to be from the product line because generally CEOs and executive functions, they lead people in organizations, and there's this big component of product management which is about leadership, and so that becomes kind of this natural progression. So I think ultimately it depends. Again, it depends what you're interested in. Like I certainly have enjoyed being in like director roles and leading organizations, but also it all depends on the scope of things that you want to do. So sometimes if you want to work at the bigger tech companies, it's going to be harder to lead entire big divisions and organizations. But I obviously I love it where I'm at, and I'm very happy. And the only thing that was missing, I think, for me is actually helping other folks that are interested in product management and business, and I'm able to do that now. So that's kind of me, my personal story. But for you, it can be it can end or sort of like coalesce into a leader of a particular product line or a particular product in its entirety or a particular company. Usually those are kind of the final stations for, or usually it also goes into startup founder, co-founder, or consultant, and just these themes.
Yeah, that's
We
great.
appreciate you for giving back to the PM community.
It's my pleasure. I wish
Yeah.
someone would tell me these things early on.
And yeah, it's interesting to see, you know, the themes about leadership there, right? Because as a product manager, if you're a product manager, you don't necessarily have a direct report, but you have a lot of influence, and it's really how you lead teams to
Right.
get their buy-in.
Yeah.
Right? And then eventually, when you move up into a director role, you kind of apply that same skill, or if you want to be your own, like what you said, founder of your own startup.
Mm-hmm.
As well. So yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And also, you constantly have to get folks to align. You know, even once you're a director or VP or whatever, you're still dealing with the same issue. You still got to get folks to align. You still can't make all the, like, you know, this is one of the things that I say for product managers. Like, if you want to call all the shots and be the final decision maker, probably product management is going to be tough for you.
That is really great. Thank you so much. So for Darsh, he is asking, how would you advise to network with PM recruiters or hiring managers in tech companies?
Reach out, just reach out. And also there's two components to it, the external and the internal. The external is you reach out and you say, hey, I'm interested in this. Can you help me with that? That sounds fascinating or whatever. And then the other one is which I think a lot of folks here are doing, and especially like the organizer of product ones, like you're actually saying, like, hey, this is what I'm interested in. And you expand your own social and professional reach, and then people reach out to you. So it goes both ways. And again, keeping the theme of this conversation, try to do both at the same time if you can.
For the people who are in a different industry that aren't currently in product roles, what's the best way to transition to PM in the tech industry?
So for people that are not in product management, what's the best way to get into product management? So I think it would be the same kind of schema. Is you look at the things that a typical product manager does. That is, bring people together, collaborate,
Right.
design the product, figure out what product is necessary, how do you solve a particular problem, and how to bring that to market and execute on it, and see how much of those things you've done in the past in the work that you've done. And every time that I work with people one-on-one on this, we do find areas of overlap. So just a matter of just getting in there and finding areas of overlap. And then you figure out a way to tell the narrative that tells the story, basically, that here are the things that I've done. So even though I'm not a product manager, I've done all these things that a product manager does. And then again, you identify the gaps, and then you start filling it in at the same time that you apply for product management positions.
A great tip. Thank you.
Next question is, how important would it be to make your own website to get into product management and brand yourself? Any ways to host?
That depends what you're optimizing for. So I'm sure there's definitely ways to get free websites. I'm sure the folks in this room are going to help you out. How important it is has to do with what reach you have. If no one's going to see it, it's not very important. If a lot of people are going to see it, it becomes more important, scaled with the reach you think you're going to have. I think ultimately, if you want to get in there and make websites, and that's something you like, you should do that concurrently with all the other stuff that we talked about. Because I think at the end of the day, having an awesome website, that's great. I don't think this is my concern, is why I keep stressing on doing everything at the same time, is I don't want you to put all your eggs in one basket. Like, don't overemphasize one thing. Do multiple things.
I really like that. But also something that we've heard a lot from our community members is, they get overwhelmed, right? Because they are transitioning and there are a lot of gaps. So in product management spirit of prioritization, if you would if you would give like the top 3, if they could like break their time, like what is the top 3 aspects that transitioners or aspiring product managers can spend most of their time on?
Sure. Well, that's going to be different. If you're transitioning from another career, then you probably want to spend some of your time understanding your story. Right? Like, what are your gaps? Some of your time should be spent, what are my gaps in true product management? And also, all of us should understand like what the target is. Like, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to get into company X, Y, or Z? Like, what is our list of companies that we want to get into? Make sure you understand where you're going. And then identify, okay, what areas of work are these companies in, and what are these skills that product managers at those companies do, and what are my gaps? So you identify your gaps, and then separately, once you've identified your top 3 gaps, you're going to take the steps to actually just fill those in. And that usually is doing some sort of a product by yourself or joining someone else, getting the title of product manager in your resume by either doing an internship or again joining some other company, and upping your skills, right? In whatever gaps, in whatever area, like some of the technical areas that we talked about, or some of the soft skills. And again, I think community is important for that, and continuously learning. So that's how I prioritize my time for outside of the industry.
This is a question that's like a little further down the line, but I thought was really interesting. What's the risk that you've taken as a PM, and what was the result of the risk that you've taken?
A result of a lot of the risks I've taken was terrible failure.
Well, we all gotta fail, right? I mean, you just gotta win a few times.
Yeah. I mean, I've misunderstood. I think basically all the big failures were misunderstanding of product market fit, building the wrong thing, misunderstanding the scale of something, overemphasizing a part of my efforts, and hinging the success of the product on one thing and having no backup plan. So like this GTM, like go-to-market strategy, weak go-to-market strategies. So I think those are all of those times were basically where you want something to be true, as opposed to there are indicators. Like it's like, is it an educated guess, or is it just a guess because you want it to be the truth? So I think that's probably for me. It's like, you don't want to be taking risks that are gambles. Like, you don't want to gamble and play the slots, right? But you do maybe sometimes want to play poker, because you're taking a calculated risk.
I think we have time for.
Yeah, let's do, because we only have a few minutes. We have some questions about experienced PMs. Can we get into some of that stuff as well?
Yeah.
The experience.
Folks that have a little more experience, like what questions do they have?
Yeah, let's go through.
Swati asked.
Swati, do you want to just unmute and ask the question out loud?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, Alex, thanks. The question I had is, I'm working in agile as agile coach capacity, or like I started as like Scrum Master, agile coach, and I'm coaching a lot of product owners how they should be doing their role. I'm SAFe certified, so I can certify product owners. But recently, I developed a lot of interest in actually, instead of focusing on agile and delivery, but transition to product owner, because I find that is like, I have more passion towards that. So I was trying to understand that, like, a lot of times when I try to present myself as a product manager, they want to put me back into, oh, you are more delivery, so you're agile coaching, you coach product owners. So how does that journey look like? Because I have like around 20 years experience, starting with like actually delivery and then agile delivery in coaching and training different roles.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So first of all, that's great, and agile is awesome, and delivering things rapidly like that is, I think, changed the industry profoundly. So thank you for helping with that. I think it's tough for sure. Like, it's all about the narrative and the story. Like, you want to find a way to now say, it's almost difficult because you've got to say, okay, well, now I'm interested in product management. I want to go into product management. And also, just so I'm clear, because you're doing, it's very valuable process that you're doing. You're teaching agile product ownership, and like that whole process is very important. And so if you're talking about making a switch within the organization, it might be difficult because you have a lot of experience and sort of a lot of what you're known for in that company. So it might be difficult to actually make an internal switch. And by the way, I've heard this from a lot of people. Sometimes it's hard to make career type switches within a given company. It's easier to make a jump. Sometimes you can actually jump back into a different role if you've successfully transitioned into, let's say, a product management role. So I would definitely explore other opportunities, other jobs, by tweaking your narrative that you've got this wealth of experience in product ownership, product management, and now you want to actually make the transition there. And again, I'm sure you've got plenty of experience which you can use to back up the fact that you've executed on product and you've delivered and you've been able to build the right stuff and fill in whatever gaps are necessary and go for product management. You could also go for these again, smaller companies or startups in an advisory capacity as a product management. That would also work.
Thank you, Alex. I have a question as well. So I'm interested in, I've been doing Salesforce consultancy, and that is, I'm more interested in the cloud side of things, but I was just kind of wondering how to present myself as a product manager. Should I make it seem like I'm more specialized into a product manager that is specialized into cloud systems, or should I just present myself as a general product manager?
Yeah, I think for broad, again, to get breadth, general product manager is good. You could have an area of focus that's something that you have specific experience with. But I would say, it's also highly dependent on the situation, like how many years experience you have, where you're trying to go. So that's a little bit highly customized. I would suggest, like, if I could give you just one tip, it would be, don't worry about that. As long as you are confident that you do want to make the switch into product management, I would make the narrative about like, okay, here's my experience and here's why I would be good for product management, and I'm gonna try that. It's very difficult, like when you are sort of beta testing your resume and you're seeing what the results are. I would say it's more important to just make a narrative and go with it and test out the results than it is to make it perfect or some sort of get a perfect delivery. So between those two things, it's going to be very hard for us to get any actionable data back and say, okay, is it this better or is that better? So I would go probably for the broad approach and get into it faster rather than later, and see what happens, like see what response you get. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Alex. We're almost at time, but thank you so much for answering all those questions and giving us so much insights for today.
Sure.
We're not able to get through all of the questions, but we'll try to collect that. We have a copy of the chat box, so we'll probably, a lot of those questions can be answered by your YouTube videos as well. So we'll try to see if we can get those in. And then just a brief reminder for everyone in here, we have a Product Bud logo redesign contest going on that ends tomorrow at 12 p.m. or 6 p.m. I lost it on top of my head, but it ends tomorrow. It's all in the announcements channel. So if you want to join the Product Buds team as a designer, that's one opportunity for you. We also have a ton of open positions that are in the announcements channel, so we encourage you to check that out. And last but not the least, if you found this event insightful, show what you learned, share your key takeaways, spend time to share your gratitude towards Alex and the Product Buds team, post on LinkedIn and tag us, tag Alex, and tag our Product Buds page. So we'll get in there and we'll like your stuff and comment on it too.
Thank you very much, Enrique. Yeah, I would just say that first of all, if you've got questions, I'm sure the Product Buds will tally up your questions and we'll get back to you, because I did see some other cool questions in the chat that I would have loved to answer, and maybe I'll get another opportunity to do so. I would also say, like Enrique said, make sure to get involved. Type that stuff up on LinkedIn. That definitely it goes a long way to actually spreading the message and getting it to other folks that might be interested in building products or building businesses. Obviously, I'd be very happy to check out the YouTube channel, subscribe to it, but only if you are actually interested in the videos. So, and of course, you can subscribe to my newsletter, which I think we dropped the link to, and the idea that I told you about where John, Tim, and I are going to be dealing with that in 2 weeks. We're going to do that first show. If you've got ideas or concepts, make sure to put those in there now so you can be first in line to maybe be reviewed and get in front of that audience. And that would be a great way to get some side PM projects going. Thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure. I definitely enjoy these type of events and hope to do more of them in the future. Thank you very, very much. And we'll speak again soon.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for spilling the
Thank
tea.
you very much, Alex. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Alex.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye. Make sure to post on LinkedIn.
For sure, for sure.
That's right. Yes. Thanks, Grace. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for coming. If you tag us, we'll do our best to respond, and we'll do our best to communicate and chat. Just have a good time.
Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it.
Of course, more to come. We got more events.